Hello, everyone. Welcome. I heard the other day it was not couth or good etiquette to wave on a WebEx. So this is Facebook Live, so I guess the rules are a little different, right? Welcome to Shine Like a Star, like the North Star. My goal in this time with you is to just spend a few minutes talking about tidbits and leadership tricks as we think through the new normal. I'm going to challenge people to post some comments as you see them. I see Kristen's online. We'll just wait for a minute here for a couple other people to see that we're live to join us and share their insights. It's great. I also, Kristen, if you're on still, can you give some little shout out, heart, celebration, star things? Because I'm not seeing them on my end of the video. And so I'm not sure how to change that setting. All right. Awesome. Okay. I'm still not seeing any tidbits, so that's a bummer. Maybe it doesn't do it on the business page, knowing that I will be deleting all this preamble as I repost what we're going to discuss tonight. So it's 6 o'clock on the dot. 6 o'clock on the dot. Let's start a few things to remember. Our goal is to think about how we can intentionally design the new normal. It's going to happen. I mean, in fact, the creation of the new normal is already in the making. So let's just not kind of let it happen to us, but really drive what we want that to look like. And so some of the focus has been in this first few series of Shine Like the North Star leadership tips and tidbits is to really empower everybody with some change management tips. So last time I wanted to build on this. We talked about some of Simon Sinek's great work on Start with the Why and how typically people start with what needs to happen. You know, I want more people on my team. That's the what. Or they may say this process needs to change, do this differently. Or they might say we need a new policy to blah, blah, blah. That's the what. They might pause long enough to think about the how. And Simon Sinek, this is the piece I wanted to drill into, really emphasizes the why. And he kind of says, you know, we need to go this way when we think about the why. So our change management strategies really emphasize starting with the need, which I think is the what, you know, what needs to happen. And the vision might be how we're going to happen, how it's going to happen. And I'm kind of paralleling this because on one hand, change management sort of says, start with the shared need and then the shared vision, and that's gonna maybe have us hit this bullseye of why things need to change. So I think there's a symbiotic relationship here of the why might be the impetus for us to really drive change, and it, you know, there's a why behind us wanting any kind of change. And thinking through that also, the what and the shared need, I think there's some parallel. The how and the vision part of shared vision is another piece of that. So I want to just kind of throw that out there and close the loop. For sure, anytime we start with change, understanding a real clean why is going to be very powerful in sort of getting any stakeholders to get on board with it. So related to that, today I was working through some changes with the company, and they were rubbing up against some people that were having some challenges accepting the change. So we did this very simple more of, less of T-chart. Thinking through, okay, so we've delivered the why and the shared need and the shared vision, and there's still some friction. I mean, change is gonna have some friction no matter what. And maybe we can loop back and seed a deeper shared need. Sometimes if there's a lot of friction or you can't get on the same page with a shared vision, that would suggest that maybe the need isn't there. But using objective tools like this can really help give us a framework and a structure to have an objective discussion over one that is, I really wish that Sarah would do this more, or I wish that Jose would do that more. And it becomes personal instead of focusing on the process. So a couple of things I want to empower you with tonight as we think about these leadership tips and tidbits so you can shine like the North Star is one, think process over people. So too often we say it's the Jose, it's the Sarah, it's the Jill, it's the Jack, it's the whomever. And it's really not people. So what is the process breakdown there? And from that, create the shared need and then the shared vision. All of these are arguably framed around the why of the work that we're doing. Does that make sense? So the why can drive this, and all of these things are really going to help us look at process and be objective about those pieces. So especially, I was listening to a WebEx the other day that was really smart. Brené Brown was doing some work and talking about this concept of arbitrary grief, which really loops into kind of people's resistance to embracing change right now. And arbitrary grief is this concept of grief that we can't really wrap our fingers around something and kind of wrestle it down. It's that kind of achy, gray, not feeling overly motivated, maybe even a little down feeling. I can't put my words on it, but I'm grieving something. I'm processing the loss of something. And that really, in so many ways in our world right now, we are experiencing grief, and more importantly, arbitrary grief. And recognizing that grieving process is going to impede people's buy-in to change, and we need to just have that grace and generosity as they're working their way through that. So that's having those open conversations, like, what do you hear the shared need is? I've got an idea, but I can't just push that at you. We need to have this conversation around that. Something else that can kind of help you think through where people are at, even with arbitrary grief, factors in their house, kids at home doing homeschooling that makes us teach math, Common Core, crazy stuff, is to think about the change continuum or the scale, right? So you're going to have resistors all the way to innovators. And being able to just put words on where you think your people are at when we think about going through the change cycle. And it's okay that they're innovating and that they're ahead of the curve, or it's okay that they're resisting and they're maybe lagging behind. We have to give people that permission to feel and understand where they're coming from so that we can really feed that solid shared need and shared vision. We are needing to move through our stages of grief and really create that new normal. We're not going to be happy if it just happens to us. So think about, what are the changes that you want to keep that you're experiencing? What are those instances where you would love some shift to happen that maybe people aren't willing to let go of yet, or just don't see as a possibility? And think through, where are others in your journey of this change and the influence that you can have as we do COVID. And finally, in a perfect world, what will we have more of or less of? And that could be people's reaction to change. It could be actions that they're taking. It could be philosophies or principles that we're kind of engaging in with things. So that's this week's North Star coaching, Shine Like the North Star. Leadership tips and tidbits. My goal is to help you design your new normal. And if I can be any source in helping you think through that, I of course want to connect as a colleague and a friend and as a person journeying with you through this crazy COVID time. Be safe and be smart.